Now, I'm not saying this about the Houston Rockets, but I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are probably in the weirdest position out of any NBA team right now. Well, before I start the video, let's have a video. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, and be sure to sub with the note. Not only make basketball videos, make different type of basketball videos. I might make meme videos, I might make soccer videos, / football videos, baseball videos, hockey. If you like that type of diverse content, make sure to like, make sure to comment, and make sure to sub with them notes. Alright, so let's just talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers roster and just kind of their season. The Cavaliers, first off, they have a pretty solid starting five. Garland, Sexton, Okoro, Love, and Jared Allen. However, their depth and their starting five, it's not even that great. It's just alright, it's decent. But their depth and their bench core is very weak. Like their backup center is Isaiah Hartenstein. Their backup forwards are probably like Broderick Thomas or whoever they're playing at the end of the season, Dean Wade, and I can't even really name their backup point guard right now, but they do not have a lot of depth. And because of that, or I also forgot Larry Nance, but because of the fact that their lack of depth, they don't really have a good offensive team, and their defense is really not that great. And also, like, even when Kevin Love was injured and before they got Jared Allen, they were actually like on pace to make the playoffs with I believe Andre Drummond. And then of course after that they didn't make the playoffs. Also, Andre Drummond, actually, I say that, but Andre Drummond didn't really play for the Cavs this year because they sat him out for like months. Also, I forgot to say this before, but one of the better players, Kevin Porter Jr., one of the better young players, they ended up trading him for like a second round pick to the Houston Rockets and barely got anything in return for him. And now he's like a corner piece for the Houston Rockets organization. The Cavaliers, they didn't really have a good offensive game in the second half of the season. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the Cavs offensively rely a lot, and I mean a lot, on Sexton and Garland, and more of Sexton than Garland. Sexton's game, in my opinion, is a little inconsistent just because, it's kind of drive heavy, and he's a good playmaker, but, he's not, a pure playmaker, or he's not a guy who's going to put out like 6 or 7 assists per game. So he relies a lot on scoring, and I feel like because of his game is, I wouldn't say simple, he's still a good finisher at the rim, but because of his game is just drive heavy and he's not really like anything insanely athletic or tall, it can get inconsistent and maybe even inefficient. I think he's one of the highest, foul drawers in the league also, but yeah, they kind of rely too much on Collin Sexton for offense, and I don't think Collin Sexton, that's really not his game. The team's not going to get anywhere with Collin Sexton being their number one, maybe not even their number 2 option if they don't have any other scoring options. So, and then with Kevin Love, I think Kevin Love just is a little overvalued in my opinion in the NBA. He's still good, but like he's not as good as he was on the Timberwolves. Ever since he lost a bunch of weight coming to the Cavs, he hasn't been as good of a post player. His offensive rebounding, his rebounding in general hasn't been as good, but especially his offensive rebounding. His defense, honestly, Kevin Love is not a bad defender, but it's not anything elite. And for a guy who's 30 something on a 31 mil a year contract and is injury prone, I don't think teams, especially the Cavs, I don't think the Cavs are going to get a lot in this scenario, in their trade scenario. And then you also have to factor in the fact that the Cavs have the 3rd overall pick, which at the 3rd overall pick, I mean, Jalen Green and Jalen Suggs are really the only 2 options. I mean, I guess they could probably fit Jalen Green with Collin Sexton, but I don't know if they should, move Isaac Okoro to the 4, or maybe just, put Isaac Okoro. Maybe they have to put Isaac Okoro to the bench to improve their bench depth, which is probably what's gonna happen. Actually, now that I think about it, they probably either trade down to the 6th overall pick and draft Scotty Barnes, or maybe even go on a limb and just draft Scotty Barnes with 3rd overall pick, because they don't really have a lot of forwards, especially someone to play a power forward. And they're gonna need somebody to replace Kevin Love. The main thing is that reports are coming out that they want to trade both Kevin Love and Collin Sexton. I don't know why they would want to trade Collin Sexton, just get better pieces, but I understand Kevin Love. He had the whole debacle where he clearly is fed up with the Cavs, even though he signed a contract when LeBron left. But I don't know. There's a few teams that I think that could take Kevin Love. The first team I think is the Thunder. The Thunder will take anybody for picks. I'd say probably Kevin Love, a pick, maybe even a few seconds, as well as a 1st round protected in exchange for maybe like guys like Isaiah Roby, Kenrich Williams, or maybe just one of those guys in a second. Because again, I don't think the Thunder are going to be willing to take Kevin Love. I think they're gonna have to clearly win the trade. Like, the Cavs aren't going to be able, in my opinion, to win a Kevin Love trade. unless it's like a salary dump. You know, a win for the Cavs would be a salary dump, or them getting really anything of worth for just Kevin Love and not having to trade a pick. But I think that's very unlikely. And another team I think could potentially want Kevin Love is the Magic. Again, Kevin Love is still good, and the Magic could definitely use some talent. And yeah, I think he could definitely help out, provide some leadership, hopefully, or he might, you know, throw a hissy fit. Who knows? But he could potentially provide some leadership to a very young Magic team that's very guard heavy. I don't know who the Magic will trade. The Magic will probably trade away, I don't even know, probably like Jameer Okeke for Kevin Love, or maybe like Terrence Ross and Okeke for Kevin Love. And the main team that's been interested in Kevin Love and interested in Collin Sexton is the Miami Heat. Reports have come out, I believe, that the Heat want to trade for both Sexton and Kevin Love in a package. And honestly, that kind of seems really realistic, you know, a trade for like Kevin Love and Sexton. The trade report is saying Love and Sexton for Hero, Achua, Iguodala, and like a few draft considerations, which honestly, that's not a bad trade, you know. I don't know, in my opinion, I don't think the Cavs should trade Collin Sexton just because he has so much potential. Like, you could always teach somebody to be a better three-point shooter. I don't think that Collin Sexton is going to be a better three-point shooter. I don't think it's just that easy to teach somebody, but he still is like a good offensive player, and he's still very quick and a solid playmaker. I think he could be a good combo guard as well as he's a good perimeter defender. But for the Cavaliers, I think they should just trade Kevin Love. Yeah, the Cavs are in a very weird situation. Jared Allen could leave. They're gonna have to trade Kevin Love because he's honestly not really that impactful on the Cavs. And then Sexton, it seems like they don't want Sexton anymore, and they have the 3rd overall pick, so they probably would have to bench Okoro if they keep Sexton, and of course probably draft Jalen Green, because in my opinion, Jalen Green is probably going to win Rookie of the Year just because of his offensive skill set. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to sub with them noties, and yeah, I'm out.